A quiet island morning. The Isle of Bute is the kind of place most people would describe as peaceful. It's a small Scottish island off the west coast, a place where everyone knows each other, doors are left unlocked, and life moves slowly. That's why the morning of the 2nd of July 2018 felt so strange. At 6:23 a.m, a man named Tony Higgins was walking his dog near a wooded path in the town of Rothesay when he saw something unusual lying amongst the trees. At first he thought it was a doll, but as he stepped closer, his stomach turned. It wasn't a doll. It was the body of a 6-year-old girl. The little girl everyone loved. Her name was Alisha MacPhail. She was bright, funny, and full of energy. She lived part-time with her mother, Georgina Lochran, in Airdrie on the Scottish mainland, and part-time with her father, Robert MacPhail, and his partner, Tony McLaughlin, on the Isle of Bute. That summer, Alisha had been excited to spend the school holidays with her dad. She loved visiting the island, the beaches, the ice cream shops, the ferry rides. For her, it was like a little adventure. The night before her death, everything had seemed normal. She had gone to bed around 8 p.m, tucked in by Tony. Her father had checked on her later that night. The doors were locked and the house was quiet. But by morning, Alisha was gone. The disappearance. When Robert woke up around 6 a.m, the first thing he noticed was the silence. He went to check Alisha's room. Her bed was empty. At first, he thought maybe she had crawled in beside Tony during the night, but she wasn't there either. The front door was unlocked. Robert searched the house, the garden, the nearby streets, calling her name again and again. Then panic took over. He called the police. Within minutes, Rothesay, a small, sleepy, friendly town, was flooded with officers. Neighbours joined in on the search, combing the woods and shoreline. Posters with Alisha's photo went up almost immediately. But just 2 hours later, the search would come to an end. The discovery. Tony Higgins, the dog walker, had found her less than a mile from her home. Police quickly cordoned off the area, and within minutes, news of the discovery spread across the island. The entire community was in shock. This wasn't the kind of place where terrible things happened, and especially not to a child. Detectives moved fast. Forensics teams arrived, scouring the scene for evidence. They found tire marks, footprints, and signs that Alisha had been carried there. And then they found something that would break the case wide open. DNA. The suspect nobody expected. As the investigation continued, police started collecting DNA samples from people across the island. They wanted to rule out anyone who might have had contact with Alisha. It didn't take long before they got a match. The DNA found on Alisha's body belonged to a 16-year-old boy, someone who lived less than a 10-minute walk from her father's house. His name was Aaron Campbell. On the surface, Aaron was just a normal teenager. He came from a well-off family, lived in a nice house, and spent most of his time playing video games. But Beneath that normal exterior, something much darker was hiding. The investigation. When police first spoke to Aaron, he was calm, even helpful. He told them that he had been at a friend's house that night, drinking and playing video games. He said he'd never even seen Alisha that night and had no idea what happened to her. But detectives noticed something odd. He seemed too calm, and when they asked for his phone, he hesitated. When police searched his home, they found clothes that matched the description of someone seen on CCTV around the time Alisha went missing. Dark hoodie, shorts, and white shoes. They also found DNA on these clothes that matched Alisha's. Still, Aaron denied everything. The breakthrough. CCTV footage became crucial. At around 2 a.m. on the night of the murder, cameras captured a figure walking towards Alisha's house. About 40 minutes later, the same figure was seen walking back, carrying something in his arms. Detectives enhanced the footage, and there was no doubt. It was Aaron Campbell. The evidence was overwhelming. When he was arrested, he didn't cry, didn't panic. He just stared blankly ahead. Later, police described his demeanor as cold and emotionless. Even when confronted with his DNA, Aaron continued to insist he hadn't done it. The trial. In February of 2019, the trial of Aaron Campbell began at the High Court in Glasgow. The public was desperate for answers. Prosecutors laid out the timeline. Aaron had spent the evening drinking with friends and then left the house at around 1:30 a.m. He walked to Alisha's home, quietly entered through an unlocked door, and abducted her while her family slept upstairs. He carried her through the streets and down to the wooded path where her body was later found. At first, Aaron denied everything, but partway through the trial, he shocked everyone. He confessed. He admitted to abducting and killing Alisha, but his explanation was chilling. He said that he had done it for fun. A complete lack of remorse. The judge, Lord Matthews, described Aaron as cold, callous, and dangerous. Psychological evaluations revealed that he had shown no empathy or remorse for what he had done. It also came out during the trial that he had fantasized about harming others in the past. This was not a moment of madness. It was something that he had planned. When the sentence was handed down, the courtroom was silent. Aaron Campbell was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 27 years before being eligible for parole. He was just 16 years old. The community in shock. The Isle of Bute was changed forever. Parents no longer let their children walk to school alone. People who had once left doors open started installing security cameras. For months, memorials for Alisha filled the town. Her mother, Georgina, spoke through tears, saying she hoped no one would ever have to feel what she felt. "It's something that never leaves you," she said. "A part of me died along with her." The lasting impact. The case raised questions across Scotland. How could someone so young commit such a terrible act? What could have created that level of darkness in a teenager's mind? Experts call it one of the most disturbing cases they had ever seen. To this day, Alisha's story is remembered not just for the horror of what happened, but for the community that came together to honor her. Each year, locals hold vigils, releasing balloons and lighting candles in her memory. Alisha MacPhail was only 6 years old, but her story will never be forgotten. Evil in plain sight. Aaron Campbell's crime shattered the illusion of safety on the Isle of Bute. He wasn't a stranger who came from far away. He was someone that they knew, someone who lived among them. That's what makes his story so terrifying. It is a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous monsters aren't hiding in the dark. They're living right next door, wearing the face of an ordinary person. And on that quiet island morning, one family's world and one community's innocence was destroyed forever.